One a little bit different, just showcasing some of the different risk levels. Obviously, for myself as a corporate service provider, we have to be aware about the risk of money laundering in finance. So this is a risk matrix that can also serve a great idea of your citizenship, your residence, or where your corporation is located. Now, what this means is the higher the actual risk is the higher the banking fees and usually the more time taken to actually open the corporate banking account. Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, this risk list can change as well over time. Obviously, there are some exemptions, but again, I'm not sure if Cuba is on here. Cuba on here. So Cuba is very high risk, but obviously for some banks that is blacklisted. Depends on where you're operating from. I have several companies, so it depends on the client of where we're operating from to abide by the regulations. But you can see here, okay? So if we go through it, Andorra is low risk, Australia, Austria. But when we look at somewhere like an offshore haven, as we first see on this list, Bahamas, this one is high risk. Meaning if you're a resident of Bahamas or you have let's say you're a resident of the UK, so you're a low risk profile citizen, you're a citizen there and you live there, but you have a company in the Bahamas, this is now high risk. It's a high risk. Banking fees will be higher, meaning you can expect 1% or 0.6% or even sometimes 2 to 3%. It then goes on your industry as well. I do have another list of the industries which are actually, high, medium, or low risk. I also have a risk matrix that I would always do on every client to assess their money laundering risk to see how much of a risk profile. I put in all of the numbers and it spits out a number, and that number dictates the fees which I will charge, because obviously the more risky the client is, the more complicated it is for me to offer those services to him, and that is if I can even onboard him. So for example, if he was from Congo, I wouldn't be able to onboard him through my British LTD company. I would have to onboard him through another LLC, which I own, to make things compliant. Not that I've ever done business with Congo, but maybe sometimes Iraq or even Iran. Again, we can be using Dubai, Russell Kmart to do business with them, because over there it is just a medium or high risk. This is for a UK profile. Again, this was made in November 2023, so maybe it's a little bit outdated, but I'm always, this is just an overview for some of my staff to go over one of the many compliance documents which they actually have. So you can see here more of a blacklisted countries: Iran, Iraq, North Korea, Russia, Libya, Yemen, Samoa, Syria, and Ukraine. Again, I can do business with Ukrainians from the UK. Ukrainian citizens, if they're a resident of Ukraine, it's much harder work. But just a little bit of info there if you do want that. Now, looking at the industries, you can see financial institutions, high risk; money services business, high risk; casinos and gambling, high risk; real estate, crypto, metals and jewelry. We can also add into that maybe the adult industry is additionally. CFD brokers, all of this comes under high risk stuff. Charities, securities, brokers, insurance, accountants, lawyers, trusts, and company service providers such as myself. We're in medium risk, and imports and exports can also be high risk for imports and exports. And then low risk ones are IT companies, which could also be medium risk. It depends on a bunch of things. This is just kind of a standby list to give a bit of an idea if you were working for me. Some of the profiles to just make you aware about this as part of the money laundering training that you will have to do when working for a corporate services provider. So here we go, guys. That is the list. You can screenshot it, zoom in on it, and if you wanted the list, I can email it to you. But I'm sure there's lots of these online.